Hi everyone. So let's continue to discuss on JUnit 5 assumptions, and today we will discuss about assuming that method. So friends, Assumptions API has static utility assuming that method. So friends, this method takes in two things. One is our assumption, which is a Boolean condition, and other is a function interface by name executable, which we also discussed in our previous lectures, that it is a functional interface which basically has a piece of code to execute. So friends, in our previous lecture we saw that Assumptions API has two methods by name assumeTrue and assumeFalse. So those two methods had a Boolean assumption, and if that assumption was not satisfied, the test cases were skipped. But here assuming that works a little different. It takes in a Boolean assumption and an executable. So what happens is, if the assumption condition is true, then it executes the supplied executable, which means whatever the preconditions we have provided in our test case using the assumption, if that is true, then a block of code applied in the form of a function interface, which is nothing but the executable, gets executed. So friends, here we are providing an assumption and we are checking that if our assumption is true, then we want to execute some more logic in our test case, and that logic we provide it by executable functional interface. Also friend, if the assumption condition is false, then what happens is the supplied executable is skipped. So instead of skipping the complete test case, what we saw in assumeTrue and assumeFalse method, here it only skips the provided executable. So friend, assuming that also provides a different way of providing the preconditions in our test, and if those preconditions are satisfied, then it executes some more logic which we provide it through the executable function interface, and if that preconditions are not satisfied, then the executable is skipped. So friends, now let's discuss about assuming that overloaded methods. So the first method takes in two parameters which we already discussed, which is nothing but a Boolean assumption and an executable. The second overloaded method, instead of Boolean condition, it takes in a Boolean supplier. So this Boolean supplier is nothing but a function interface which provides a Boolean value, and if that Boolean value is true, then the code provided in executable gets executed, and if it is false, then this executable is simply skipped. So friends, now let's go to Eclipse and see the demonstration of assuming that method.